My question to you is, who do you think values diversity at the workplace most? I assume that what you're going to say is women, and yes, you are correct. We are just looking at a study from Ladders that did survey people, workers that made over $100,000 to just get sort of a pulse of what is going on with diversity programs inside the companies. And it found that 66% of women and 43% of men believe that diversity is important. Now, the number on the women's side, 66%, I think is a little bit low. I would like to see all women embrace that diversity, and equal opportunity is by now a subject that every woman has been reached with, and 43% of men, I think that's a respectable number, because we do know that a lot of men are very anti-diversity and very anti-equality in companies. So 43% I think is a respectable result. The survey further says that 23% of women and 40% of men think their company takes diversity very seriously. So the taking diversity very seriously is interesting, because only 23% of women, now think about that. Out of 100 people, only 23 women believe that the company does, but 40 men believe that they do. The discrepancy in this number comes from, in my experience, that when you bring up something to a man, the man says, okay, this has been discussed, it's done, it gets checked, it gets filed, it's over. So if they've heard about it, it's a subject they're familiar with, or they think they're familiar with, it's done. But there's not necessarily the need to follow through to see if it actually was successful. Whereas women, and that's just how our brain works, we are also outcome oriented, and we look at what has actually happened, not just was it discussed, but what's the outcome. And so 23% say, well, no, because nothing really, ever happens. 77% of us say it's really not making an impact because it's being discussed, but it's not being followed through. Then the next stat says that 39% of workers know that programs are even exist and what those programs are. I mean, come on. So if a company actually puts out a diversity program or an equality program, and you're not even telling the people that are working with you and for you that this program exists, and only 39% of your workers even know that you have an initiative, then the boss has done a really lousy job. So if you have a program in your organization, you need to tell everybody about it and make sure that everybody in the company knows what it is, what it stands for, and what you expect them to do. Then they say 66% of workers say their company is male-dominated, and 22% of workers say company has an even ratio of female to male. Now, we do know that in entry level, it's pretty 50-50, but when we go up into the higher ranks, manager level and above, we know that it divides, and that men go this way and women go that way. So that, I think, has a lot to do, or this has a lot to do with why we believe that companies are male-dominated, because women don't make it, and then they leave if they can't have a career. So gender diversity in management, so 16% in the US, and in other countries, there are now mandates. So the example has been given by Norway. So Norway is the first country in the world who has now mandated that their C-level executives and the board seats, that things have to be equal. So we see that 1 in 5 people in the C-suite in Norway is now female. In the United States, we are at 16%, which I do not believe, which is a really super low number. And then when we talk to CEOs, we know in the United States we're only at 2%. So what do these numbers actually really mean for you? It means that diversity matters because it moves the bottom line. And when you do a program, make sure that you put the extra money into the program to tell everybody about it and to explain them why you're doing it and what's in it for them. Because unless you get the buy-in from your people in the organization, you're not going to be making an impact. And these numbers that I'm looking at are really insignificantly better than the numbers I've looked at 5 years ago. We are not making an impact, and I am asking you why. This is a message from Beate Gillette, the founder and creator of the Women's Code. Thank you for watching.